You know, do hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and you're kept up to date with what I have to say. I am American social democracy. I feel so official. We're high today. Um, I just feel very newsworthy and want to be professional and want to be in solidarity with my socialist comrades. Henceforth, the fist and rose. Okay. Um, lately, the topic of Israel is on the news. Hamas, Israel fighting it out. Um, you know, everybody's got an opinion on Israel, and there's really not a whole lot of middle ground. And you take a stand one way or the other, you're going to get attacked by one side or the other. And that's just how it goes, because nobody knows how to be rational in this discussion in a way that basically innocent people on both sides. And I'm sorry, there are innocent people and good people on both sides. And no, I'm not trying to sound like no freaking Donald Trump at Charlottesville. There are good people. There are good Palestinians uh, in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. There are good Jews in Israel itself. There are bad people in Israel. There are bad people on the side of the Palestinians, and that's the truth right there. And I don't want anybody getting hurt. I don't want anybody to die. I want a peace to transpire between the two people to resolve it. Getting that out of the way. Now I'm going to tell you what got my dandruff up in the last couple of years. Recently, in the last few days, Bernie Sanders was attacked by Alan Dershowitz for being anti-Semitic. Why? Because he's criticized Israel for their over usage of force in the Gaza. Bernie Sanders made it clear that Israel has the right to defend itself, but the over usage of force, the brutal force that they use to stop the Hamas attacks, was overwhelming. And I said this time and time again: if one Israeli dies by Hamas, that's one Israeli too many that died. If Israel retaliates and kill 100 Palestinians in response, that's 100 Palestinians too many. What I'm basically saying is I don't want anybody on either side to die. And that's basically what Bernie Sanders was saying recently. And he raised that issue. And Alan Dershowitz basically referred to him as a self-hating Jew, which is very offensive. As somebody who is not Jewish, I am offended on Bernie Sanders' behalf because the man almost did not exist. His father escaped from Poland around the time Hitler invaded Poland. Bernie Sanders has family he will never ever know because they died in the Holocaust. And it is an insult to Bernie Sanders what Alan Dershowitz said. And Alan Dershowitz, I understand the support, why he supports Israel, and Bernie Sanders is not anti-Israel, but Bernie Sanders do not want a right-wing racist government, and that is the Likud government, using overwhelming force against innocent Palestinians just to get at Hamas. And that's what it comes down to. And nobody gives a damn about the Palestinians in mainstream political discourse here in the United States. And that's problematic. And anybody who criticizes Israel just the least little bit, they get smeared as an anti-Semite. And I used to be like, oh my, if I criticize Israel, I'll be called an anti-Semite. A lot of people are tired of that. That's like saying I'm going to use right wing logic. That's like saying, if a white person criticizes a white conservative criticizes certain aspects of Black Lives Matter, does it make that white conservative a racist? No, not necessarily. Same thing, regardless of ideology. Is if somebody is criticizing some questionable things Israel's doing against the Palestinians, and they said this is wrong, they're not anti-Semitic for doing it. So that's basically what happened. And Alan Dershowitz should be ashamed of himself for what he did. And somebody pointed out, of all the Jewish people that have been accused of being a self-hating Jew, usually people come to the defense of that person when they're being accused. But for some reason, Bernie Sanders, who himself is Jewish, when he's accused of being a self-hating Jew, nobody comes to his defense the way they need to. Well, I will. How dare anybody accuse Bernie Sanders of being anti-Semitic? How dare they? No such a thing. Now, let's cross the Atlantic Ocean into Great Britain. Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the British Labour Party, came into prominence around the same time Bernie Sanders came into prominence here, running in the presidential primaries in 2016, 2020. About a decade ago, Jeremy Corbyn became leader of the Labour Party about almost a decade ago. And he's a very controversial Labour MP, very left wing, very um, strong critic of Thatcher during the Thatcher years, very much a public face of socialism in the way that former British Labour Party MP Tony Benn, who might be the most famous British Labour Party MP probably in the world in the last generation. Jeremy Corbyn got accused of being anti-Semitic. Why? Again, he criticized certain aspects of Israel, and Jeremy Corbyn's criticism of Israel is far harsher than that of Bernie Sanders. For starters, and Jeremy Corbyn is much further left than Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders in the British Labour Party would be presumably slightly to the right of Jeremy Corbyn. He wouldn't be Tony Blair, but he wouldn't be Jeremy Corbyn. Ideologically, he'd be somewhere in the middle. And Bernie Sanders, as I said, is not a socialist. I mean, not an anti-Semite. Excuse me. He's not an anti-Semite, and neither is Jeremy Corbyn. But because Jeremy Corbyn has criticized Israel, he's been viciously attacked as an anti-Semite. It's been a right-wing press campaign. The Tories have beat it to the ground, and people like Tony Blair also beating it to the ground. What quote-unquote bad news Jeremy Corbyn was as the leader of the Labour Party. No, Tony Blair, you were the bad news. You were what the Labour Party did not need it when they put you into leadership in 1994 and destroying the ideological socialist bedrock of the Labour Party. You did to the British Labour Party what Bill and Hillary Clinton did to the Democratic Party in the United States. And you sided with George W. Bush with the Iraq War, which was one of the biggest blunders in history of the West when it came to Middle Eastern politics and empire building over there. And it was a war based on a lie. And the fact that you went along with George W. Bush, just the sight of you, Blair, sickens me. Now, Jeremy Corbyn, was on the correct side of the Iraq War. He opposed the Iraq War. As a congressman in the Vermont lone congressional district in 2002, when it came to the Iraq War, Bernie Sanders was correct that the Iraq going into Iraq was bad news. George W. Bush was wrong. Tony Blair was wrong. Bernie Sanders was correct. Jeremy Corbyn was correct. The smear campaign against a decent man in the UK trying to rescue the Labour Party from being Margaret Thatcher light and returning it back to its Clement Attlee genuine socialist direction. Trying to. It's not quite there, but certainly an improvement from where it was during the Tony Blair years. Same time, Bernie Sanders was trying to rescue the Democratic Party from the cancer we all know as Bill Clinton and his Democratic Leadership Council that Reaganized the Democratic Party and made it just nothing more than a more moderate and saner and more secular version of the weirdos that run the Republican Party. At one time, it just the Overton window was almost normal in the USA, but it's so far to the right that today's Democratic Party is to the right of where the Republican Party was during the days of Richard Nixon. And I'm not making that up. In 2017, when Theresa May was leader of the Conservative Party, it was a very close race, and Labour did very well, but wasn't able to quite take back Great Britain. Theresa May had to reach out to a political party. Theresa May was the British Conservative Party leader at the time, the Prime Minister, Britain's second female Prime Minister. She had to reach out to a political party in Northern Ireland called the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland. And if you do not know what the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland is, it is a small Protestant party founded by Reverend Ian Paisley, who was an anti-Catholic zealot who basically wanted to make Northern Ireland officially a British entity and to basically chase out all the Catholics and all the people who adhere to their cultural Irish heritage. Not only is the Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland anti-Roman Catholic, they're also anti-LGBTQ. And when you get into an ideology that is anti-Roman Catholic and anti-LGBTQ, you better bet your beetle boots that there's probably a little bit of anti-Semitism somewhere behind the scenes. Now, I do not think that Theresa May is a bigot, so far as I know. I do not think that the British Conservative Party officially embraces anti-Catholicism today. In fact, I think that probably a great many of them are even okay with the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ equality. Not all of them, but they're there. They made progress. And I personally do not think that the British Conservative Party is the worst center-right party in the world. I would never vote for them if I lived in the UK. I would be a firm British Labour Party supporter through and through. I would be attending Labour Party meetings. I would be working as an open socialist with the intention of keeping socialism alive and well in Great Britain. That's how I will operate. I would be called old Labour if I lived in the UK, as opposed to new Labour, that monstrosity created by Tony Blair. I represent something closer to Tony Benn, Arthur Scargill, Michael Foot, Jeremy Corbyn, even though I may not be as far left as they are, but personally, but point I'm trying to make is that Jeremy Corbyn was painted as an anti-Semite, and you have to ask yourself, what the fudge is Theresa May doing, reaching out to the Democratic Unionist Party? I know what she was doing. She was trying to create a government and to keep Britain from having Labour being the ruling party. The point I'm trying to make is that both Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders have been unfairly smeared, and it's absolutely just wrong what these two good people have gone through. And it makes me angry that if you criticize a certain policy of Israel, and frankly, you can't get any worse than Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. You just can't get any worse. I mean, that's fascism right there. Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud party. His Likud party goes back decades into what was called the Irgun and the Stern Gang. And these organizations were paramilitary organizations that were kind of like a Zionist version of Hamas and a Zionist version of Hezbollah decades ago, prior to the creation of Israel. They were openly bigoted toward the British. They were openly bigoted toward the Palestinian Arab population, and they were even bigoted toward their fellow Zionists, the Haganah, and some of these other folks that were part of what would be a socialist Zionist movement. And that is the legacy of Likud. And these people, the Stern Gang and the Irgun, have reached out to Benito Mussolini at one point, wanted to seek friendship with Benito Mussolini. And that is documented. That is the truth. And that's the kind of person Benjamin Netanyahu is. He's secular himself, but he's allowing the religious clerics to want to turn the country into a theocratic state. And theocracies is terrible in any form, no matter what religion it is. No matter what religion it is. Secular states, secular societies are always better. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you have a platform, please utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. And class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we achieve full economic and social justice for all. And the hell with these people that accuse Bernie Sanders of being anti-Semitic. And the hell with the people in the UK that accuse Jeremy Corbyn of being anti-Semitic. Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn are both good people.